Hello and welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. My name is Winona, and today I'll be playing a little Scribbles Scrambles. And I'm with the amazing, the wonderful, the awesome.
The handing you an Uno reverse card. uh, Hi, I'm Fletch. I'm very excited to be here with you today because, boy, sometimes life happens, but we found a way regardless.
We found a way. This FPS is taking so many weeks. We just not our schedules.
The true final boss of D&D is scheduling, but we
Indeed.
made it.
Indeed.
So I'm Fletch, and today I'm going to be playing a little child that goes by the name of Camille Christie, who is totally, totally normal, guys. 100%.
It, say 120% normal. There's nothing wrong with this.
He's getting a good grade in being normal, something that is both normal to want and possible to achieve.
Yeah, but Camille has been through a lot lately, to say the least of things.
Yeah, there has been so much happening all the time. But he's finally out of the hospital after missing a good chunk of school. And thankfully, since it's so close to the end of the year, he won't have to repeat the grade. But instead, he kind of has to meet up with the tutor to quote unquote catch up on his studies.
Yeah, he's been assigned a tuner for multiple study sessions to catch up on things. And ironically, Scribbles say, I shall put it that he has recovered from everything by now. Because I like your picture in the title card, and I don't want to change it. Say he has fully recovered by now, so he is taking some students back underneath his wing, and he's heard through the grapevine of the school system that there was one that has been out for a very long time. And he recognizes the name from T.O.C. of Camille Christie. So he volunteers himself to be the tutorer for this boy.
Yeah, 'cause hey, if the kid knows T.O.C., the kid can't be that bad, can he? Like, a fun little fact is that Camille has also heard of Scribbles, funnily enough. This time from. He actually heard about Scribbles from the professor.
Mm-hmm. Duh.
Mhm.
So I'm
So that's
curious.
been.
Oops, sorry, you go.
Yeah, so that's been fun, because the professor actually recommended Scribbles, I believe, and, said,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this person is trustworthy. I've, I think he straight up said that he trusts Scribbles with his life and has, but
Oh,
it's fine.
yes, it's fine. It's cute. They say,
You know, it's a little bit far to go for a tutor, but might as well.
yeah. They say, you just, yeah. But they say, how much, I'm curious, since Camille is a detective, how much digging has he done on Scribbles before this meeting?
uh, hmm, let's see. Let's roll a d2 to see. Not that much. Probably didn't really dig too much if the professor says Scribbles is good, then that's probably fine. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't yet have a reason to dig that much. Though probably would have noticed Scribbles' name if it was like in the newspaper or something.
Yeah, there is a roll of history.
Yeah. Alright. That is an 18.
Oh yeah, you fully recognize Scribbles' name also, not just from the professor, but there was a kerfuffle and a accident happening at University City at the University of UPA where he got very hurt, to say the least, by some fellow students of his, though he was rescued by his family, including the professor.
Mm-hmm.
And technically, there was an attempted murder.
Which, you know what? That's fine. That just happens to people. It doesn't just happen to people, but around Camille it just happens to people.
Yeah.
So that's fine. He's filing that away for later. Probably puts a little mental this might be important later stamp on it just because he knows what kinds of plots he tends to get into.
Yeah. And though, where does Camille want to meet Scribbles for tutoring? Because he's one of those people that released for the first sort of round of tutoring. He wants to make sure the children feel comfortable where they're at. So he's willing to travel too. He's like he will go anywhere for their first meeting.
Yeah, so probably one of Yalestown's library maybe.
Mhm.
Um Mostly just because that does seem like good neutral ground. Either that or he does have to get tutored at the school. I'll leave that up to you.
I say library would be good for Scribble. He usually likes doing it in more of a public space, in sort of neutral public like a library or a cafe.
Yeah. So for now at least we'll start at the library. If necessary, we can go to the one cafe in Vealstown that everyone always goes to.
Yes, the one cafe. May have to drag Marzi in here later, but we'll see.
We'll see. It's fine.
Mhm. Yeah. So Scribbles is a bit early. Like he's always early here, just to set up sort of shop a sort of nice, sort of quiet part of the library. I mean, it's always quiet, but more of a just like relaxed sort of center, you know?
Yeah, probably. You know how most libraries have like a little kids section? It's probably there's probably a few like child-sized desks and stuff that you can set up around there if you so desire.
He's probably gonna actually, now that I'm thinking about it, take one of those little mini conference rooms, and so they can have just a space for themselves.
Yeah, that's good. That's fine with Camille.
Mhm.
So he's probably showing up right on time with his school supplies and stuff. He you can roll insight on him if you want.
I shall roll insight on him. Let's see. Well, okay, that's a interesting roll for the night. That is a let's say that is a 3 in total.
That is indeed a 3 in total. Yeah, no, this kid is totally ready to start the learning and catch up to his classmates.
he he's being he's probably be yeah.
Yeah, he is very small. He's too small to store lies in him. It's fine.
Indeed. Oh, say hello, Camille. We'll be tutoring in one of the little say meeting rooms but in the side of the library.
And Camille gives you a little nod like, "Okay. It's nice to meet you, Mr. Scribbles."
It's
Or
nice. Scribbles is fine. It's nice to meet you too, Camille.
And you get another polite little nod.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And Scribbles
before,
leads to the little conference room.
and Camille follows.
Yeah, and Scribbles talks along with her. Say, I met with some of your teachers and made sure to be say all up to date with how you learn. Say what are you working? Say where were you left off on everything. So we should be a smooth transition.
And Camille nods, like, yeah, that's very good to hear. Thank you.
No problem. I like trying to be up to date, especially when you've been out for so long.
Yeah, Squirrels, you probably haven't been told why Camille has been out so long. At least, I don't think schools would tell that information.
No,
But
no, they wouldn't tell that information, and he wouldn't really pry on that information, knowing who he knows. He's just like, and also T.O.C. specifically mentioning this is a murder child.
yeah, this is in fact a murder child, though, despite the moniker. Right now, he doesn't seem all that different from a normal child.
Yeah, so
And
he ain't gonna touch why he's left.
and he was just like, "Thank you. I hope I can catch up soon."
I'm sure you'll be able to with my help. Do not worry. And don't feel too bad. I've actually been out for a little bit too because of an injury. So, we're both getting back into things.
Yeah, Camille, that's like, "Oh, are you all right? I heard a little bit about what happened through the papers, so are you all right?" Or
I'm a lot better right now. Say they say my injury was not normal per se, but I have made a full recovery. You should not worry about that.
and he does give a little nod, uh, though there is a note of worry as he's just like, "Well, if you're not feeling fine, we can always reschedule."
No, I actually been quite excited about this tutoring session. Uh, as far as I know, you know T.O.C.
Yeah, we've met a few times.
They speak highly of you.
Camille blinks a bit and seems to be filing that away.
And they probably got
But
into the room by now, or settling down.
yeah. So as he like takes a seat and starts pulling out his stuff, this time he's keeping it in a little backpack because his he sure is prone to fumbling. Um and as he's pulling that stuff out, he's just what did T.O.C say about me?
Only a brief because we were meeting about something else that day with some other I have a little group of ours, the little fellowship of parents as we like to call each other. You probably wouldn't know them, but say Nebula, Rose, and the professor are the other two of our group.
Yeah, I've met the professor before.
Oh,
He's actually the one that told me about you.
I see. Not very sure how much he's told me about. He has told you about me, but say I'm glad I'm glad he thinks highly enough of me to be recommended.
And Camille nods. He isn't going to mention the specifics because that was sure in combination with some other secrets there.
Yeah.
but it's fine. So
Yeah.
he
But anyways, T.O.C. really likes you. They've taken you under your say they basically you've been adopted by a chicken.
I seem to be getting adopted by a lot of things recently.
A lot of children are, from what I've been seeing. I mean, Marigold. Well, I'm her parent. Say TOC's her parent. Say Nebula. It's just we're all co-parenting her. It's just like I didn't realize how sort of kind of normal it was until more recently.
And that's like, yeah, family is a pretty big thing in Ninquel, so sometimes you do end up with like 50 parents.
Yeah, which could be a good and a bad thing at times. That's why we had to start this little fellowship because we had to keep all of our information straight. But that's besides the point. Say we could talk a little bit later. Let's get to tutoring.
And Camille nods like, all right. And he pulls out his stuff and is just, what subject should we start with?
Uh, let's start with math. Say your math teacher gave me a couple gave me a couple summary outlines of what they'd done already, so I should be able to say we should be able to go at least good from there.
And he nods again and sorts through his stuff to grab the math related things and is just like, all right, that sounds like a plan.
Mhm. And he begins tutoring say Camille. Like he goes through the summary like chapter through chapter, like say explaining it all, and then having him do some practice problems as well as some few like test things at the end of the chapters.
And I will casually roll a deception because, and I'm so sorry to Scribbles because I saw it, because that sure is a 21.
You know, let that is sure a 21. Let's see what his say. Here's the thing. Do you think you would allow a passive investigation?
Um, you can roll insight and then investigation, and I can do some funny little flavor things from that.
Yeah, because he has a passive investigation of 23.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but I'll roll for insight.
Yeah, so you can roll for insight and then uh
That's a 14.
and also investigation because there is actually a little thing that
Alright.
an investigation roll that yeah.
Say 14. Say 14 for insight and investigation.
Pull out pull out your modifier.
Oh, what?
Your oh,
Oh, I say. No, I entered correct. It was a 13 and then I then plus 1 for the modifier.
okay.
Alright. Ooh, he rolled well that. I don't think he would have need his passive with that high of a roll. It's actually
it's
exactly his passive.
it is quite actually his passive. That is hilarious.
That is hilarious.
All right. So, uh from personality wise, yeah, this sure is a normal child. He seems to be going through the work quite well. Stumbles at the places where you expect him to stumble, all that
Mhm.
sort of deal. But you, with your funny little roll of 23 for investigation, start to notice some things with the actual work itself, which it, and you'd notice a funny little thing with the more time you spend with this boy, 'cause you, 'cause the DC for that is 15. Uh, you over time pick up a few little things that don't quite add up in Camille's appearance. And as you sort of mentally squint at that, uh, you can actually notice the telltale signs of an illusion and kind of see past that. And it's not too big of a change compared to his usual look, but this what it seems like this kid is using a sort of illusion to make himself appear full tune when in fact he is very much half tune.
I mean, Scribbles wouldn't really comment on that unless like the kid looks older than he actually is, because it's just like, I mean, he can understand why he wouldn't hide his half tune. He could maybe understand why he would want to hide he's half tune, but does he look older? Is the question.
Uh, no, he does very much resemble a the age that between the illusion and his actual self is the same. If anything, he would look a little bit babier because of how real kind work. It's easier
Yeah,
to point and go like, no, that's baby.
indeed.
Um, he's definitely not older than 7, and you might actually be pushing it to say that he's 6, considering the fact that he's 2'8" and
Mhm.
half tune.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, it's still pretty in line with the age that he claims to be.
Mhm.
And but as for the work itself,
Mhm.
uh, you for starters, first of all, the handwriting is way too neat for someone who's just started learning how to write.
Mm.
uh, as as first graders normally are.
Mhm.
The penmanship is very calculated feeling, uh, and it's still a bit sloppy in some areas, but it does seem to be someone who knows how to write and spell and all of that. And also, the it seems very much like sure he acts like he's stumbling in the right places, but in terms of actually struggling, this kid doesn't very much seem to be struggling despite having missed an entire month of school.
Ooh.
At least in terms of the schoolwork itself.
Mhm. I'm not very sure if it would be a deception or a sleight of hand, but he sees this and wants to try to sneakily like sneak over a little bit harder work.
All right. Whichever has the higher modifier, I think, because this boy, sure is built to notice things.
Let's see. That'd be my stealth, since I am a UPA and I get proficiency in that. That's a +6. Let's see what I. Oh boy! You
Oh
won't.
boy,
You won't believe what I got.
is it a nat 20?
That was a nat 20.
All right. Okay, so the 26. It's do I dare roll knowing what Camille's modifiers are.
He would have to be in a nat 20. Alright, do you want to
You
roll the
see, the
dice?
thing is, Camille has a +10. He'd have to get 16 or above. So let's see. Okay, cool. Thank you, Dice Gods, for giving him a low roll.
Nice.
So that's, yeah, he does not really seem to process it as you stealthily sneak some harder questions into the next bit of coursework.
Yeah, and how he's doing it is like doing it very gradually. He's definitely going from like early, like his current elementary school status to maybe middle school math problems, high school. Then if he isn't struggling by then, he's gonna try college work. He wants to see how high this kid can go.
All right, let's see. Uh, what would you say is the role for that?
I'd probably say for at least insight or say insight or investigation.
All
Ironically,
right,
depending on
it
how you
is
want to
a
flavor it.
it is a +10 either way. All right. Camille, you sure are digging yourself into a hole here. That is a 10 plus 10.
Yeah,
That is the dirty 20.
that is the dirty 20. Yeah.
So yeah, he actually manages to it's he actually manages to get a decent way uh like at least enough to be maybe early college
Mhm.
before he starts actually struggling.
Scribbles smiles at this. Don't worry about getting these questions now. These are pretty hard. I gotta say, I'm really impressed, Camille.
Oh, oh, thank you.
Yeah. Do you know what level you're doing work on now?
Camille stops at that, looks down at what he's been doing, and he doesn't say it because he is trying to keep the PG rating on himself right now since he is supposed to be a child. But mentally, there's the tiniest, ah, shit.
Scribbles just is smiling at him.
This is, definitely not first grader work.
No, this is early college work.
Ah,
You're smarter than you look.
title drop.
I had to.
And Camille thinks, like, I don't know whether to be complimented or offended by that.
Probably depends. But I have to say, though I mean this is our first meeting and I don't know anything about you or your plot, if you have any plot, though I'm assuming you do. Because it feels like everyone I have met has plot in some way, shape, or form.
Camille laughing awkwardly at that. Uh, like, well, I did, T.O.C. tell you how we met?
No, he did not.
I met them through a very certain set of plot shenanigans. So, that plot is one way of putting things.
Mm, I see. Ian gives a little nod. Well, I'll tell you right now, you do not have to give up any information on your plot if you do not want to. I will say I want to respect your privacy.
And Camille blinks at that and does seem actually a little genuinely thankful.
The one thing I'm curious about is why aren't you in any higher level classes? You could skip multiple grades.
Oh, well, um, I didn't really want to draw attention to myself. Um, eh, being a 6 or 7 year old in high school and above is uh kind of odd.
I mean, yeah, but you're you have to be bored out of your mind. As he like motions to the harder work, is just like you were struggling on some of these problems over here, but that only shows like how smart you are.
Oh, um, he kind of taps his fingers against the desk. It's it might be a little boring, yeah, but I don't really want to draw too much attention to myself. Though I think for next year I might I've been told that I don't have to go back if I don't want to.
Oh, why would that be? If I can ask, of course.
And he pauses as he's just, well, um, one of my friends offered to help tutor me a bit next year in and sort of homeschool me on a level I'm a bit more capable of instead of having to deal with regular school life.
Scribbles does give a little nod at that. I mean, homeschooling would make a lot of sense for you with how high a level you are, for sure. Especially,
And with some recent events, it would probably make the most sense to do that.
yeah. I mean, again, you don't have to tell me anything that you do not want to, but after seeing this, you've passed many grades with flying colors, and if you want to keep a lower profile, still being a child, homeschooling would be a great option for you.
Yeah,
It,
he does relax and nod a little at that.
so I don't know who your friend is, but I am a professional tutorer. So if they need any pointers or anything, they can come to me.
And he nods like, "Oh, yeah, do you well, since you both know the professor, have you met Satomi-kun or Arata?
Yes, I've met Arata. Yes, wonderful, wonderful kid.
He's the one who offered actually.
That makes sense. He smiles very gently, remembering him. He's like, he seems like someone who would do something like that. But yeah, yeah, I know his brother too. Say Sammy Jacks. Not Jack. I forget if they actually said his last name or not. I'll just say Sammy. I say.
Yeah. And that's like, oh yeah, I've met Sammy as well. Where? Come on, Camille. I hold you. Sammy has straight up said this to your face. You can admit it. And he's like, we're friends too. They both have helped me out a lot.
I'm glad that they have. They say they're very nice from what I've met of them. They met Arata a bit more than Sammy, but they seem very nice in your wonderful hands.
Yep. And Camille gives you a little smile, like, that's certainly good to hear. I would hope so. uh,
You go.
and he he seems to trail off a bit, uh, and sort of taps his fingers on the table again as he's thinking, or he's just like, "Oh, I guess now that you know, not really sure, uh, what we should do about catch up, considering
You're
he,
more than caught up for sure.
yeah, he kind of taps at the much higher level schoolwork again.
He does smile. Though, to cover our bases, there were a few things your teachers wanted you to fill out. So maybe after you do that, we can maybe go and I don't know, say just walk around, just enjoy the day.
All right, I guess you want to be a little bit snarky today, buddy. He kind of gives you a bit of a smirk as he's just like, "What? Are you trying to encourage me to play hooky?"
He snorts a little bit and smiles. Well, say I was informed that say well, some rules are meant to be broken a little bit, and he does give a little bit of a wink, since you are a little bit of an outlier.
I suppose that's fair. Though it is odd hearing it come from an adult.
uh, maybe a little bit, but I still need to finish up college myself. I'm not. I haven't been feeling like I'm fully adult lately. But I don't know. It's just like, uh, with my daughter and everything. Now I have my son back. It's just, a lot of things have been happening.
Uh, Camille blinks. Did something happen to your son?
Yeah. Remember what the paper says when I got hurt?
I Yeah, that there was a attempted murder.
Yeah, the attempted murder wasn't on me. That was on my son.
Camille winces a bit, like, oh, I'm sorry. That's always pretty hard.
Yeah, he's thankfully backed up the snuff now. I'm very happy about that. Had even a little design change. Well, as well as I. The professor hasn't seen this yet, as he motions to his new design, in quotation marks. Even though this is the first time he's met Camille.
Well, I'm sure the professor will be pretty surprised by that. It seems like he's newer to most Toon things. I don't think he quite believes in the plot.
I don't think he does either, but I feel like he'll eventually turn around, especially if he lives here long enough.
And Camille nods like, Yeah, maybe maybe one day. I
Maybe.
mean, he does seem like the type to just have things happen to him also, so
Yeah, you're telling me that's how I met Sammy and Harada. Woke me up at 3 a.m. in the morning for an adventure.
that yeah, that sounds like them.
Uh, he
I
he
you
just
go.
he just bridges his nose like oh boy sort of motion as his hair turns a little say his his hair turns a little bit black. He's frustrated. Well, a little bit red, I
Oh,
should say. A little bit red. He's frustrated a little bit.
oh, yeah. He makes note of that, and he kind of he gives a little nod, like, yeah, I met Sammy in a pretty interesting way too. Though surprisingly, I met Arata in a pretty normal way.
How did you meet? How do you meet by
Oh,
curiosity?
well, I met Sammy because we both got kidnapped. And
Scribbles sighs, but it's to say he just does sort of like just like the like little not baseball, but still again the bridging of the nose just he's just like, yep, that sounds about right.
yeah, Camille kind of looks at you like, yeah, that's I either get surprise or I get that reaction, so that's fair.
Yeah, that sounds about like it.
And yeah, he's very casually going to not mention uh how often it happens.
Which is
'Cause
probably a
sometimes,
good decision on his part.
yeah, 'cause yeah, he is very small and very kidnappable, unfortunately for everyone involved.
Yeah.
Ex- Even the kidnappers. It's a lose situation for everyone considering just he will be barging their door down.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, and so he gives a little shrug, like, and well, I met Arata because it's a pretty normal story. He just visited me in the hospital because he knew who was staying with me.
Oh. Uh, I hate to assume, but did something also happen to Sammy?
And Camille is like, well, uh, a little. I made some stupid decisions a while back, and Sammy got hurt because of that. So we were both in the hospital for a while.
I see. And he looks at Camille and gives a little nod. Again, I will not push, but I'm glad both of you are all right.
And he smiles, like, yeah, we're fine now. And I do think that Sammy genuinely is doing better.
That's good to hear. Jeez. What's it with kids in the plot? I swear.
Well, isn't there a whole thing about, like, young protagonists?
There is. But I feel like it's the modern day. We shouldn't have that anymore. Or at least it shouldn't be a thing anymore. But yeah, look at you. Look at him. I mean, I already my uh hands said head in hands.
Oh. Yeah, Camille kind of gives you a sympathetic look as he's just like, well, I mean, yeah, a lot of things happen, but I guess the good news is that they usually happen to people that can at least handle it or come out of it better.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. I say it does usually happen to people who have stronger connections, and at least those connections can, well, get them out of a situation or help them out if need be.
And he nods. Like, so uh, unfortunately, some things will keep happening, but he he kind of puffs out his chest a little bit. Uh, it's all in all very childish, but he is a child as far as you're aware.
Yeah.
As he's just like, but I'm tough. So,
Out of curiosity, do you say, do you have any family? Do you live with someone right now?
oh, yeah, I live with my brothers.
Mm. He gives a very much more relieved smile as his hair turns to yellow. That's good to hear. I'm happy to hear that.
And he does give you a genuine smile back, like, yeah, it's been pretty great. And I do care about them all a lot.
He nods. Say, good, good. Just to say, but watch out for each other. I say, the world is weird.
Well, you certainly can say that again.
Yeah,
I mean, we both know the professor, so
yeah.
he.
I was actually the first one to meet. I was actually the first tune he ever met here, if you believe it.
Oh, that must have been fun.
Trust me, it was. I saw Ellie drop out of the sky, and God, it was a sight to see.
How did he react, I wonder? Did
Very
he
much
ask
in.
you a bunch of questions
Oh
or
yeah, he asked me a
try
bunch of
and investigate you?
both. Had tons of questions, investigate me, but mainly was in awe of at least Toontown since we met outside the city limits. I gave him a little tour and showed him around and showed him different kinds of tunes and everything.
Well, that must have been fun.
It was a lot of fun. And I'm very glad he literally dropped into my life.
You know, I'm. That feels like a very common thing for meetings.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it, doesn't it, now that you think about it? I think just ponder that thought. But, I mean, kind of, even though you may chalk it up the plot, course sort of feels like life isn't that sort of general direction. It's just like, you don't know what's gonna ever come to you, you know?
He nods, like, yeah, I mean, the plot likes to throw things at people, but how they deal with it is entirely up to them.
He nods again. Yeah, I agree there. At least for right now, my plot seems to be wrapped up, or at least the majority of it is. There's still some things that I have planned for the future. He does smile, and his hair becomes a little bit pink.
Camille raises an eyebrow at that.
Yeah, you can roll a perception if you want.
Yeah, sure, 'cause it's not like my boy is completely disgusting in all things seeing. That's an 18.
Yeah, you could see that not as well as the hair turning pink. His little his little scribbles on top of his head start forming little hearts.
Camille looks at that and then blinks, like, ah, I see.
Yeah, you definitely think there may be a love interest somewhere.
Oh, hello? I think I lost you for a moment.
Oh no, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, with 18, he definitely thinks that there may be a love interest in there.
And we'll kind of just he takes note of that and is just like, well, I certainly wish you luck in that.
Oh, oh, uh. he he then he then the hair say he blushes a bit in embarrassment, and he combs his hand through his hair to like settle down the scribbles, and they eventually turn back into brown, his normal brown hair color.
And
Sorry.
Camille does smile like it's like, well, I mean, it does look like you at least have good things coming to you.
And hopefully there'll be good things coming to you.
Well, things certainly have started getting a lot better recently, so I hope so too.
I'm glad to hear that. But at least for right now, let's finish up let's finish up this busy work, and then we can go out and maybe and do something.
And he nods at that and is just, well, where do you want to start?
Well, and unless you have anything to add, I think that's a good place to end it there. It's just as Scribbles and Camille start finishing up this work.
I think so, yeah. They can go get a nice little treat later.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that was a very nice, cute little FPS.
That was. It was adorable. Yeah, and yeah, Scribbles is definitely gonna probably talk to Aran about this if he's serious about homeschooling Camille.
Yeah. So that's gonna be fun. Gets tutored on being a tutor.
Yes.
Tutor
Exactly.
squared, even.
Tutor squared.
But yeah, so thank you for playing with me. This has been a uh, nice little moment. Uh, I know that both of them probably deserved having a bit of a calm down time,
Yeah,
if you
I
will.
agree. Yeah. These two definitely need more calm vibes, and this has definitely been a calm vibe.
Yeah. So thank you for playing with me. I hope that you had fun. I
I
know I did.
Yeah, I hope you I had plenty of fun. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad you did too.
Yeah. And with that said, thank you, whoever is listening in the future, and we will see you later. Bye!